Hello, I am Professor Dr. Deepika Srivastav from the English department. Today's lecture is for BA 4th semester students. Today's topic is classical Indian drama. We have studied classical Western drama and are familiar with Greek tragedies. Most of you are also familiar with the Indian drama tradition as it was taught in colleges. Hindi is a compulsory subject, and so I will just refresh your memory by taking up the important theories of Western Indian drama. Drama is the reflection of life, as we all know. It is generally believed that a nation is known by its theatre. Richer the theatre, richer the nation's culture. Dramatic art in India started more than 2000 years ago. Therefore, it's an advanced literary genre since ancient times. There are two views about the origin of Indian drama. First is, it is believed that it came in India under the Greek influence during the reign of Alexander the Great. And secondly, it is believed it came under divine origin, deriving several characteristics from the four Vedas and is a tradition born in the country. Now, first, let us take the first theory. Since the days of Alexander the Great, Greek colonies were thriving at the Indian seaports. In India, wealthy Greeks kept a native stage. These places were Ujjain and Kannauj. These are the places from where Sanskrit drama began. So, Greek drama influenced Indian culture, and it was from where our drama started. In India, there has been a long tradition of full length plays which are called Sanskrit dramas. They were written in Sanskrit but included vernacular languages of Prakrit, commonly known as Prakrit as well, and came into existence by the Sanskrit Vedas. This is the second belief. Most of the Sanskrit dramas represent the court theatre performed under royal patronage, like the kings, emperors, and other royalty. They sort of loved having theatre in their courts, and this is how the earliest form of dramas flourished in our country. These plays were based on love stories, political themes, palaces, intrigues, and they were generally called nataks. The English word for this is drama, as we all know, natak, and the English word is drama. The most famous Sanskrit playwright of all times in India and also in the West is Kalidas, the great scholar, the great dramatist, and the great poet. But unfortunately, very little is known about this great man. It is said he was a Brahmin, lived in North India in sometime during the late 4th to mid 5th centuries AD. That is, this roughly corresponds during the Gupta period. He wrote three narrative poems and three plays. We will take up the plays here. First was Malvika and Agni Mitra. The second was Urvashi, won by valor. And the third is Shakuntala. Among these three plays, Shakuntala is the epitome of Sanskrit drama. And its theory and its story as well is derived from the greatest epic of all times, Mahabharata. It is the love story of King Dushyant and the beautiful heroine Shakuntala, who is the foster daughter of a hermit. They meet, they make love, and they have a secret marriage. But the king had to leave And before leaving, he gives Shakuntala a ring and promises to return. However, soon he forgets all about Shakuntala and the brief love affair he had with her. She is taken to the heavens where she gives birth to a baby boy, and this baby boy is called Bharat. The king recollects all the events on seeing the ring, and all's well that ends well. He goes to heaven to bring back Shakuntala and his son as well. And this is the end of the great drama Shakuntala. No drama has surpassed Kalidas in excellence, and to this day, it is the most favorite of all Indian readers. The language of Sanskrit drama, including Shakuntala, is a blend of Sanskrit and Prakrit languages. This is for the convenience of those who didn't understand Sanskrit, especially women, children, and the lowly castes. Only scholars could comprehend Sanskrit then. This is true even now. The characters were typical rather than individuals. They are all the noble heroes, the Nayaks. They were called Nayaks. And they normally were kings or princes. Then there was a very beautiful heroine who was called the Naika. The villain was called Pratinayak. There was also a clown who was called Vidushaka. He belonged to a high-born Brahmin caste. The drama revolved around the love and passion between the Naik and the Naika. But the clown's dialogue were spiced with eroticism, so this also gave a flavor, a blend of romance. There were minor characters also, as well as a Sutradhar who was basically from the theatre group, maybe a director who knew all the nuances of direction of the drama. The acting technique corresponded to the stylized Natya described in drama manual or the Natya Shastra. Sentiments were conveyed through facial expression, symbolic gestures, and body language apart from the ras. Music had a central role in Sanskrit dramas, but it is not known what exactly the genre of music that accompanied the plays was. Nothing is known about music, though it formed an important part of Sanskrit dramas. Different types of drama employed different acting styles. For example, a heroic natak or drama play may have required a classical Natya Shastra deriving acting style, while a short farce may have been performed in a more realistic manner. Languages used have already been mentioned. The royal heroes, Brahmin priests, and high officials used Sanskrit, while females, children spoke Prakrit. Thus, the plays also reflect social hierarchies of their time. So, this social divide occurred then as it occurs now, unfortunately. Another characteristic of drama was blending of prose and verse. The dramas had a combination of both poetry and prose. Verses were in Sanskrit, the rest was in prose. This thus indicates linguistic expression from high to low or from noble to vulgar. Having said that, let me tell you that Shakuntala's manuscript reached a monastery in China as well and other Eastern Asian countries. Sanskrit dramas influenced Chinese theatre, and Shakuntala was later translated into English, German, French, Spanish, and other several Western languages. Goethe was inspired by Shakuntala while writing his famous Faust. This indicates the popularity of Shakuntala in foreign countries as well. So it was a hit with the Indian masses as well as the foreigners. Hindu drama is the product of native genius. The dramatist Bhasa or Bhrata is the father of Indian drama. Bhasa composed 13 plays dedicated to the ruler or the emperor or the king of his time. Shakuntala was the best known drama during the colonial period as well. So, as I said earlier, no drama reached the heights that were reached by Shakuntala. Bharat's Natya Shastra was the first attempt put to contrive drama in a systematic manner. He set out a detailed theory of drama describing bhavs and ras. The next great Indian dramatist, Bhav Bhuti, belongs to the 7th century. He wrote three important plays, Malti Maghav, Mahavir Charit, and Uttar Ramcharit. The last two, as their name suggests, cover the epics of Ramayana. So after Shakuntala, I think Ramayana was the next important source of inspiration for the Sanskrit writers. The powerful Indian emperor Harsh also wrote dramas, and he wrote three important plays which are Ratnavali, Priyadarshika, and Nayananda. Now, as I told earlier, poetry in Sanskrit was included in these Sanskrit dramas, and so it is divided into two kinds. One was the drishta, which can be seen. I mean, whatever you see is drish, and the other was sravya, which can be heard. So, drama had to be seen, and therefore it comes in the first category. Natya is imitation of different situations in life. Whatever we see in life is called Natya. It is also called Rupaka, which has sentiments. Rupaka has three main constituents. First is the plot, which is normally called Vastu. Then the second is hero. All dramas have hero, and he is called the Neta. And the third is sentiments or ras. All these are the constituents of a drama. Vastu is again classified in two kinds, principal, which is called adhikarik, and accessory, which is called prasangik. Vastu has five arthaprakariks, which are called requisites for its development. Now, we have also to understand what were the concepts of a hero of the Sanskrit drama. The Neta is a total variance with the Aristotelian concept of hero because of the fact that there are no tragedies in Sanskrit literature. Though the Greek dramas had tragedies which were very well known, the Indian classical drama had no tragedies. In the Indian concept, hero should be modest, decorous, comely, civil, and sweet. These are the main characteristics of a hero. He must belong to a noble family. He cannot belong to the ordinary low-born family. He may be gallant, devoted to many women. That was understandable considering that they were allowed to marry several times, though he was attached only to one. But this is another kind of hero, which was also the person who dominated the dramas, and this person was who was attached only to one lady. But it, he was very unpleasant with this lady, his wife or his lady companion. There was another kind, he may be bold, who openly flirts with another, and he is not ashamed of his flirtations. Lastly, he may be favorable, devoted to one heroine only. All the readers liked the last class, the hero who was devoted to one heroine only. Next point is bhav or feeling. Bhav is the perversion of the heart by any emotion, whether the emotion is pleasure or painful. Vibhav or excitant is that which being perceived nourishes the main sentiment. There are 9 heads under which ras can be studied. These are permanent emotions. These are rati, which is the sexual emotion, has, which is called the laughter, shoka, which is called grief, krodh, which is called anger, utsa, which is masterfulness, bhaya, which is called fear, jugupsa, which is called disgust, vismay, which is called wonder, sama, which is called subsidence, on which are based the sentiments of Shingar, erotic, hasya, comic, karuna, pathetic, Rodra, furious, Veer, heroic, Bhayanak, terrible, Vibhatsa, loathsome, Adbhut, marvelous, and Shant, serene. So these were the names of the various ras. Rati or the erotic feeling is the prevailing sentiment in most Sanskrit plays, and this is also divided into 2 forms. One is love in separation and the other is love in union. This is rati or eroticism. Sambhog is when two lovers are in enjoyment of each other, and this is depicted by intimate scenes or kissing between the couples, which is there on the stage for the audience to watch. Ramayana, let us take up the case of Ramayana. This has Karuna Ras, whereas Mahabharat, the other epic, has Veer Ras, Rodra Ras, Karuna Ras, Bhayanak Ras, and many other Ras. When you read Mahabharat, you will understand how many ras has been taken up in all the incidents that have been described therein. Let us take Gitanjali also, the greatest uh, creation of Rabindranath Tagore. The dominant ras in Gitanjali is Bhakti ras or the love for God. Coming back to drama, let me tell you that the drama opens with a prelude which is introduced through the Nandipat. The prelude begins with a short introduction of the poet's or the dramatist's achievements. After the prelude, the drama begins. And generally, like the Shakespearean drama, it is divided into 5 to 10 acts, and there are several scenes that are well shaped to give impression of a complete whole, and there is unity between each scenes. The acts must not be tiresome because of the length, and there must be ras in each act, in each scene. This is an important aspect of the Indian classical drama. Incidents like journeys, murders, or wars must not at all be shown on stage. They are only indicated. I mean, somebody comes and tells, or they are taken for granted but never enacted on the stage. And these include long journeys, murders, or other violent scenes. Death of the hero is also never to be exhibited on the stage in Sanskrit plays. And this is the reason Why there is a total absence of tragedies in ancient India. There are no tragedies, only comedies and romances. The plays end as it began with a Bharat Vakya or a prayer, which is repeated by the chief protagonist not as a dramatic character but as a member of the dramatic party, and it contains their wishes for general prosperity, well being, and happiness. So, in brief, I have given you the tenets of our rich heritage of the Indian classical drama. And with these words, I also convey my best wishes to all the students, to all those who have listened to my lecture on the topic classical Indian drama. Please consult notes on this too for a better understanding of this topic. Thank you.